our home and native land, Toronto's newest pulp culture podcast, covering your favorite comics, collectibles, media, nerderific origin stories, and more. Hosted by your northern neighbor, Jowy Pangolinin. Here it is, nerdos and nerdettes, Comic Sing!
Hey nerdos and nerdettes, this is Joey from Comic Sing, followed by...
Shane.
Kenya.
Anthony.
I'm Len.
And guess what we're talking about today? Obvi, we're talking about Infinity War.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh my gosh, you guys know the theme music already?
I was in my head trying to figure out if I could do it because I just watched the marathon yesterday, and no, I can't.
It's like every single major thing that we do, we're going to have to do like an actual music rehearsal, and then we can do the podcast.
I don't know, I like our impromptu music.
Yeah. I like it. And of course, we're going to talk about the first initial reaction of what happened in the very first minute of the movie, which was basically seeing Thanos in the Black Order. What did you guys think of that part?
It was heavy. It was really heavy. It's one of those movies where you walk into it knowing absolutely nothing outside of what you saw in the trailers, which was all a lie. But yeah, like the movie just it went from, for lack of a better comparison, 0 to 100 real fast.
Yeah.
Like you just saw bodies everywhere. There were just these ominous people standing around. Someone is giving a speech. It looked
like a war.
Right. Someone's giving a speech about, oh, your life means more now because you're giving it to Thanos. Like, that's some heavy stuff. And you just see all the characters that you love in the Asgardians from Thor Ragnarok, just a complete mess. And like, where is everyone? Like, it was just, it really set the tone for the madness that was going to happen for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, and honestly for me, it was tough. It was tough. The initial time, like, you see someone being dragged around by... was it Thanos? It was a member of the Black Order. You see that person being dragged around, and then you realize it's Thor, and I was just like torn. I was like, oh my god, like this is Thor. He's one of the heaviest hitters on the Avengers.
He's not one of the puny guys.
He's not a puny guy, and he's just got his ass handed to him, and he's being dragged about. Like, that's almost how little they see of him. And I think, like Shane said, it was a great way to set the tone for the movie, and it was a great way to kind of also just give Thor that emotional gut punch even more. Like, you got a gut punch at the end of Ragnarok. They lost their home, and then now it's like, oh no, they're all dead.
Literally, this guy lost everything. There's not one thing he hasn't lost. He's lost, what is it, his family,
his home,
his
father.
Yeah, and he loses a lot more in this movie too, so...
Yeah, no, it's incredible. That opening sequence that really got me was Thanos' presence. They really nailed it. I was just enthralled by this guy. He's giving his speech. In time, you'll know what it's like to lose. And it's like, hell yeah. And he kills it.
Oh, and also, did you guys actually think that the trailers and the commercials for this movie, did it give anything away? Like, I mean, you were saying it kind of
red herrings everywhere.
Yeah, no, I think Marvel is now giving a name for themselves for really doctoring their trailers.
Yeah.
I think they essentially take sequences and add extra digital elements to it, add characters where they aren't, lots of red herrings, lots of baits and switches. And I don't know if I like it from a marketing tactic. I mean, it definitely gets the hype up. And
I personally love it.
I love it in the age of spoilers.
Yes.
And
that
people,
we're doing for everyone today.
Right, and people speculating of what's going to happen. And Game of Thrones does this. They film multiple endings just to even screw with the actors.
You know what
I
like?
You have to do this.
It was a fake script too.
Fake scripts, filming multiple endings, that I get. But I feel like for marketing trailers, I almost feel like instead of giving us 3-minute long trailers, just give us like a 1-minute quick thing of what's going to happen, or even 30 seconds. Like, I think
that's what teasers are, and we're accustomed to not having teased. Well, we're in the age of 3 and 4 different trailers, and even
but that's what I think is the problem with the industry now. I think trailers shouldn't, like, I think trailers need to be dialed back to being more about.
I don't disagree with you.
Like shorter things, and just like instead, I actually prefer like the guerrilla marketing where they do like those cool websites that they build that are integrated into the movie or other things like that. I prefer those kinds of tidbits over full-on trailers.
Side note, trailer-wise. So they played Jurassic World the Fallen Kingdom before this movie, and there was a second half of that movie I had no idea about until I saw the trailer and I was mad that now I know, because I'm like, I would have loved to have this to be a surprise. Same thing like Wonder Woman and Batman v Superman. If they didn't show her and they just teased her in the trailer and then she fully came out,
even though she was only there for like
it would have been
minutes.
even cooler than it was in the movie.
Yeah.
So I wish they would restructure how trailers work, so we still have those surprises, and that's what I enjoyed about it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, for my thing with the Marvel trailers, though, it gave me a really cool shot of the team that just never happened in the movie, and I was just salty about it, because I was like,
I love that
was such a great, that was such a great shot, and then it didn't happen, and I'm like, wait, what?
Or at least it happened just not the way that we thought it was going to happen.
This is good, because I'm tired of those people on YouTube that have an account. They make a video, 10 things you missed in this trailer. They circle some dot in the background. They analyze it like they know everything.
Yeah.
Those guys are being shot down.
Shot down by Comics Inc.
I'm sorry, but I don't like you.
Stop it.
Shot down like the Winter Soldier.
Oh, damn. And of course, when we were talking about initial reactions, we wanted to speak a little bit about the Black Order. I mean, they're epic in comics, as they are. But they were really, really amazing.
Oh, yeah, just from a character design standpoint, like as a fan of film, like they nailed translating these characters onto the big screen, and the mocap was phenomenal. There were some really great close-up shots of their faces. Proxima Midnight, Ebony Maw, Corvus Glaive, they all looked real.
Yeah.
And they did the lighting really well with the mocap and everything. So I really appreciated the fact that they gave a lot of thought to these characters, and just the introduction of them standing in the middle of like these Asgardian dead bodies, fantastic. Like, this is the Black Order, like, they're bad guys.
Yeah, I kind of love Torture Guy, or I love
Torture Guy.
I love Torture Guy. He's Torture Guy now.
Ebony Maw.
Ebony Torture Guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I love the way that he speaks, the way that he slows everything down. I want you to feel this pain.
Yeah.
That's not what he sounds like.
Well, in my head, now he sounds like that. So that's fine.
To me,
He had like a really kind of high-pitched, almost proper voice, and he was sort of the priest. Like I felt like he was like.
Is he from Essex?
I don't know, but they made him like the fanatic cultist. Like he was praising Thanos' name, and he's like, "Oh my god, glory be to Thanos!" Like, but he was like a creepy torturer. So it was nice.
It was essentially, your blood is going to bathe the rest of the universe before it all honestly,
he's gonna wear Thanos' skin one day.
Yes,
look at him.
Yes, he is the Buffalo Bill of the team. That is a perfect comparison.
Oh my gosh.
He just needs to wear the robe, be butt naked, and have Goodbye Horses playing in the background.
That's
all he needs.
That's it. All right, so October 31st, we know what he's going to be following. And as we're still talking about the theme of like initial reactions, the first deaths, I think it really got me. I was like, oh, I didn't know it was going to happen this early on.
Yeah.
But like to me, I was kind of like, okay, so this is what war is like. You know, you don't have time to marinate someone's death. You don't know when it's going to happen. It could be right when you step foot in the theater, and it could be until the very end. And you don't know how many of them are going to die, and you don't know the impact. So
I also think it was just a good way to establish like the scope and scale of what the Avengers and what we as an audience were dealing with, because up until this point, you know, the good guys always won. Like, they were always winning. They had the advantage over these bad guys a lot of the times. And, you know, the MCU had the criticism of having really flat villains. Mm-hmm. And, you know, like, some of them were really campy and corny. You couldn't really take seriously. Sure. Some were just like, okay, why are you threatening? But this was just straight out, okay, we're going to kill some really big players off the bat. Mm-hmm. So you understand the scale and the scope and just how awful these people are. Like, Thanos is a bad dude, guys. He's a bad purple dude.
I do want to draw the parallel to Thor Ragnarok when Ella killed the three.
The Warriors there.
Yeah. So they tried that there. It didn't really work there.
Well, they didn't
it did for me.
It did for those 3 seconds of just stab, Asian guy. Hey, I'm about to hit, do my thing, and then they're like, no, stab. What? Okay, sorry, not 3 seconds, 30 seconds. That's it, max.
It didn't have the same impact of, oh, she's a bad person. She killed these 3. It just felt like a cheap, like, okay, she killed them. Let's go.
I don't know, because I thought thought that set the tone for Ragnarok, that it had such a high body count for a Marvel movie in that first half. Like, it was surprisingly dark.
But I think with the Warriors 3, because we spent so much time with them in the first 2 Thor films, I didn't feel like I wanted to feel sad about their deaths. And it was just literally, like, I felt sad about, why am I blanking on his name? The Asian Warrior 3.
Yeah.
I felt bad for his death.
Sorry,
because I
Asians out
actually
there.
saw
We're
him.
terrible geeks right now.
We are. We're being terrible geeks. But, like, I felt bad for his death because at least I saw him battling Hela for a little bit, and I was like, oh no, this is sad. But again, it's like, it's characters you spend time with, and you don't get, you didn't get much time to mourn, and they were kind of tossed aside very, like, flippantly. And I think that was more for the pacing of the story than anything else.
It was. It totally was.
I think it was that in part, but also trying to establish Hela in the same way that they established Thanos. It's just because the characters weren't as big as, say, a Thor.
Like if
it didn't have as
himself.
much emotional impact.
Possibly. I also think it could be filmmaking choices. I think the Russo brothers, with how they were handling... and you have to look at it this way, too. The Russo brothers have been carrying these characters for a lot longer than, Taika Waititi, who's doing Ragnarok. So I feel like the Russo brothers actually knew what kind of camera angles would get that quick emotional burst. Like, the way they have the pan of the bodies, and then it rests... like for a moment on Heimdall lying on the floor.
Oh,
like
that's super sad.
That was emotional because you're getting used to faceless dead bodies, random villagers, and then oh my god, it's Heimdall. Like that's the jarringness.
It's kind of like he's the gatekeeper, but he's also just nothing in comparison to anybody because he's just laying there just with the commoners and with whoever's and
Right, because Heimdall had his heroic journey in Ragnarok where he actually got to do stuff as opposed to standing around with the sword guarding the Bifrost.
Yeah, no, he was
so that's what for me gave that scene more poignancy because he mattered.
Yeah, he saved all the people, and then now he's like dying amongst them.
And now Idris gets to do all the cool stuff.
Yeah,
that's what I see it as.
Idris Elba for James Bond.
He could have done cool stuff without killing him off. I'm just saying.
Okay, so Heimdall is the new Thor.
Hey. Actually, well, and of course the second really, 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 really big death because he's been in the 17th Marvel movie now. Right when Loki died, I was like, yes.
I enjoyed the fact that he died in a really kind of pathetic way, if you want to say it. It wasn't like he died fighting or died getting stabbed.
He had a heroic death.
It was a terrible plan.
His decision
it was heroic, but I mean, like, the method. Like, the fact that Thanos was just gripping him by the neck and essentially just
strangled the life out of him.
He strangled
like
the life out of him.
Michael Myers.
Like, that was... I thought that was great. Like, it was just a great way to kind of showcase how powerless they are, that he could just kill him with his bare hands.
I do like seeing people die in that manner.
Yeah. For me, Loki's died.
Wow, we got a
gloss over that right now. I'm gonna gloss right over that. I'm standing right next to him too, so I'm just kind of worried. For me, Loki just died so many times. Even Thor mentions, I think it might be permanent this time.
Yeah, no, it's gotta be.
His impact of dying just kind of wore off of me, and when he did die permanently, I was like, okay, yeah, I guess it is permanent now. But,
Yeah, no, I was happy with it because finally all the fangirls that are just Loki'd up all the time and creating the hype that it's done, guys, it's done. The Loki hype is done, and now you're going to glorify him.
He could come back, but he could come back as Lady Loki.
He's a martyr now.
Okay, so just not Tom.
Let's not.
It's not Tom. It's just not Tom.
I'm more down with the Jane Foster,
but
I don't want to call it gender bending. She's her own situation there.
I wouldn't call that gender bending because I mean Marvel's legacy characters are very different than the way DC structured it. But Jason Aaron's Mighty Thor run with Jane Foster, if you haven't read it, you need to because they just wrapped it up actually this month. April, this month. So, and it was incredible. That was like a 2-year run that you didn't know was going to work, and it worked. Unlike Superior Spider-Man, but we're not going to discuss that.
Yeah, that's
But yeah, if they ever decided to introduce a female Thor, even if it was temporary, like they did with Thunderstrike in the 90s, which was so 90s, it wouldn't be a bad idea. But
moving on now to probably the biggest and most impactful theme or